who says the film is filled with inaccuracies.
I just prefer honesty over, sales and monetary.
An upcoming biopic about Michael Jackson promises a sweeping look at the king of pop's life.
Paris Jackson just went off on Instagram, calling out her dad's biopic. And honestly, the drama is kind of insane. We're talking about a $155 million movie that she wants absolutely nothing to do with. So here's what happened. September 2025, Venice Film Festival. Actor Coleman Domingo is walking around telling people that Paris Jackson was super helpful with the Michael Jackson biopic. He even told People magazine that she and her brother Prince were really supportive of the film. Paris apparently attended this AmFAR benefit gala where Domingo was hosting, and he's out here saying she was lovely and warm to him. Paris saw that interview and immediately went to Instagram stories to shut it down. She tagged Domingo directly and wrote something like, "Don't be telling people I was helpful on the set of a movie I had 0% involvement in." She actually added the LOL at the end, which makes it even better. She then clarified that she'd only met Domingo twice, and both times were super brief interactions.
Jackson is clapping back after Coleman Domingo said she was lovely to him during the making of the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic. Coleman plays Michael Jackson's dad and Paris's grandpa, Joe Jackson, in the movie.
But Paris didn't stop there. She posted a whole series of Instagram stories breaking down exactly what her involvement was. Turns out, she read one of the first drafts of the script. She gave her notes about what felt dishonest to her, what didn't sit right. And according to Paris, the production team basically ignored everything she said, so she moved on with her life. Her exact words were, "Not my monkeys, not my circus," which is honestly the perfect way to describe walking away from something you can't control. Now, this biopic has been in the works since 2019. It's directed by Antoine Fuqua, the guy who made Training Day, and it's being written by John Logan. The Michael Jackson estate is heavily involved in the production. The movie stars Jaafar Jackson, who's Michael's actual nephew. In the lead role, the cast also includes Nia Long as Catherine Jackson, Miles Teller as Michael's lawyer John Branca, and that's where Coleman Domingo comes in, playing Joe Jackson.
In case you're not aware, a Michael Jackson biopic is coming to theaters next April. It's been directed by Antoine Fuqua, features Jackson's nephew Jaafar as the singer, and it also includes Nia Long, Miles Teller, and Oscar nominee Coleman Domingo.
The original release date was supposed to be April 2025. Then it got pushed to October 2025. Now it's scheduled for April 24th, 2026. And there's a reason for all these delays that goes way beyond normal post-production. Visual note. Show headlines about Jordan Chandler legal issues. Back in January 2025, a report from Puck magazine dropped some serious information about why the movie was getting delayed. The third act of the film reportedly centered around the 1993 allegations made by Jordan Chandler, who was 13 years old at the time. His father, Evan Chandler, accused Michael Jackson of sexually abusing his son. That case was settled out of court in 1994 for somewhere between $20 and $25 million. Here's the problem. Part of that settlement included a clause that said the Chandler family could never be mentioned or depicted in any movie. The filmmakers apparently didn't know about this restriction until after they'd already finished filming the entire movie. According to the Puck report, the script portrayed Michael as this innocent victim of a money-grabbing family. There were reportedly scenes of Michael's lawyers, including John Branca and Johnny Cochran, debating whether to pay off the family. They even included a recording where Evan Chandler allegedly threatened to destroy Michael's career.
Her discontent arose after actor Coleman Domingo, who portrays Joe Jackson, claimed that Paris and her brother Prince were supportive of the film. Paris clarified via Instagram that she had 0% involvement in the project.
So basically, they built the entire third act around something they legally couldn't show. The Michael Jackson estate, which is co-producing the film, had to inform the filmmakers about this agreement after production wrapped in May 2024. Now they're looking at massive reshoots. The estate agreed to cover the costs, but the script needs approval from both Lionsgate, the US distributor, and Universal Pictures, which is handling international distribution. This is where Paris comes back in. She's not just upset about being misrepresented by Coleman Domingo. She has actual problems with how the film is handling her dad's story. In another Instagram story video, Paris said the film panders to a very specific section of her dad's fandom that still lives in a fantasy. She said these fans are going to be happy with the movie. But Paris herself? She prefers honesty over sales and monetary gain. That's a direct quote from her Today Show interview. She got even more specific in later posts.
A big reason why I haven't said anything up until this point is because I know a lot of you guys are going to be happy with it. Like, a big section. The film panders to a very specific section of my dad's fandom that still lives in the fantasy.
Paris said the thing about Hollywood biopics is that they're not real, but they're sold to you as real. The narrative is being controlled. She said there's a lot of inaccuracy and just full-blown lies in the script. She doesn't like dishonesty. She spoke up, she wasn't heard, so she moved on. Paris also addressed people who were saying she was being rude to Coleman Domingo. She pointed out that she'd only met him twice in her life. Both times were brief, and suddenly he's out here acting like they collaborated on this movie together. The budget for this film is reportedly around $155 million. That makes it one of the most expensive musical biopics ever made. For context, Bohemian Rhapsody, which won 5 Oscars and made $910 million worldwide, had a budget of about $50 million. American Sniper, one of the highest-grossing biopics ever, cost about $59 million to make. The expectations for this Michael Jackson biopic are massive. Some people in the industry think it could cross the billion-dollar mark at the box office because Michael Jackson was such a huge global star. But that budget is a huge risk, especially with all the controversy surrounding the film. Director Antoine Fuqua has said he wants to present Michael Jackson's life in a way that shows him as multidimensional. Producer Graham King, who also made Bohemian Rhapsody, said he wants to humanize Michael without sanitizing him. They want to tell the most compelling, unbiased story possible. But Paris Jackson is basically saying that's not what they're doing. She's calling it sugar-coated. She's saying it's dishonest. And she's not the only critic. Dan Reed, the director of the 2019 HBO documentary Leaving Neverland, read a draft of the script and called the project a complete whitewash. He said it contains complete lies and is an attempt to dismiss the allegations against Michael Jackson out of hand. Leaving Neverland featured Wade Robson and James Safechuck, 2 men who claimed Michael sexually abused them as children.
And it only provided feedback on an early draft of the script, which she felt was dishonest and inaccurate. After her concerns were ignored, she disengaged from the production. Paris described the film as dishonest and criticized it for presenting a sugar-coated portrayal of her father.
The Jackson estate has called those allegations absolutely false. The timing of this biopic is also interesting. There's a civil trial scheduled involving Wade Robson and James Safechuck against the Jackson estate. The film was originally supposed to come out around the same time. Some people have questioned whether that's a coincidence or if the biopic is meant to counter those allegations. The trailer for the film dropped in November 2025 and absolutely exploded. It got 30 million views in the first 6 hours. Within 24 hours, it hit 116.2 million views. That's more than any other Lionsgate trailer ever, and it beat Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concert film trailer, which previously held the record with 96.1 million views. So clearly, people are interested in this movie. The footage shows Jaafar Jackson recreating iconic Michael Jackson performances. There are snippets of songs like Wanna Be Startin' Somethin', Beat It, Billie Jean, and glimpses of the Thriller music video Jaafar does the moonwalk. He looks eerily similar to his uncle. But Paris Jackson doesn't care how good the trailer looks or how many views it gets. She's made it clear that this is not her project. She doesn't support it, and she wants to be left out of it entirely. In one of her Instagram videos, she literally said, "Y'all are going to like the movie, so just go watch it, go enjoy it, do whatever. Leave me out of it." She used some stronger language than that, but you get the idea. What makes this situation even more complicated is that the Michael Jackson estate is fully behind this film. John Branca and John McClane, the co-executors of the estate, are producers on the project. They've had significant input on the script. So even though Paris is Michael's daughter and she's raising concerns about accuracy, the people who legally control Michael's legacy are moving forward anyway. Paris also mentioned that she knows some Michael Jackson fans are going to love this movie because it gives them what they want to believe about her dad. She's basically saying there's a section of the fandom that refuses to acknowledge any of the darker allegations or complicated aspects of Michael's life.
Paris explained, "I read one of the first drafts of the script and gave my notes about what was dishonest and didn't sit right with me. And when they didn't address it, I moved on with my life." Paris went on to say that the movie is obfuscating the truth about her dad. The narrative is being controlled and there's a lot of inaccuracy.
This movie is designed to appeal to those fans. The film is supposed to cover Michael's life from his time with the Jackson 5 through his rise to becoming a solo superstar in the 1980s. Some sources have said it might end around the time he releases his first solo album, Off the Wall, or when he leaves the Jacksons. There's even talk that they might make a second film covering the rest of his life, but nothing's been confirmed yet. The reshoots that are happening now are trying to remove or rework all the scenes involving Jordan Chandler. That's reportedly the entire third act of the movie. They have to find a new way to tell that part of Michael's story without violating the legal agreement. The cast and crew were called back together in March 2025 to film new material. Coleman Domingo hasn't publicly responded to Paris Jackson's Instagram posts calling him out. Representatives for the film declined to comment when outlets reached out for a statement. The weird thing is, even though Paris is distancing herself from the project, the film is still using the Jackson family name for credibility. Katherine Jackson, Michael's mother, has reportedly given her approval. The fact that Jaafar Jackson is playing his uncle gives the movie this sense of family endorsement, even though Paris is actively speaking against it. Paris said in one of her videos that she just prefers honesty over monetary gain. That line hits different when you realize this is a $155 million movie that's expected to make hundreds of millions, possibly over $1 billion. There's a lot of money at stake, and Paris is essentially saying they're choosing profit over truth. The film's portrayal of Joe Jackson is also worth mentioning. Coleman Domingo said he wanted to take on the role because there are conflicting opinions about Joe Jackson. Some people see him as abusive, while others in the family might have different views. Domingo said he wanted to figure Joe out, understand what made him tick, and explore how he created these world-renowned artists. Whether that's good, bad, or ugly, Domingo said he wasn't sure yet. Paris has been pretty open in the past about her relationship with her grandfather Joe. She's talked about the complicated family dynamics, so when the movie is trying to present some version of Joe Jackson's story, and Paris doesn't agree with how it's being portrayed, that adds another layer to why she's speaking out. What's also interesting is that this isn't just Paris being emotional or reactive. She read the script, she gave professional feedback about what she felt was inaccurate, and when that feedback was dismissed, she walked away. That's a pretty mature response. She didn't throw a fit during production or try to sabotage anything. She just quietly stepped back and moved on with her life.
Paris Jackson posted a series of critiques this week on social media in response to recent comments from actor Coleman Domingo, who is playing the family's controversial patriarch Joe Jackson in the film.
I'm excited that they asked me to host tonight.
But then, Coleman Domingo comes out months later saying she was helpful and supportive, and that's when Paris felt the need to correct the record. She didn't want people thinking she endorsed something she fundamentally disagreed with. There's also a bigger conversation here about who gets to tell Michael Jackson's story. On one hand, you have the estate, which legally controls his legacy. On the other hand, you have his children, who actually knew him as a person, not just as the king of pop. Paris seems to be saying that the estate is choosing a version of events that's marketable rather than truthful. The fact that the film has been in development since 2019 and is just now coming out in 2026 shows how difficult it's been to navigate all these issues. Between the legal problems with the Jordan Chandler settlement, the reshoots, the multiple delays, and now Paris publicly criticizing the project, this movie has been through it. Antoine Fuqua said at San Diego Comic-Con in July 2024 that the film was in early stages of editing at that point. That was before they discovered the Jordan Chandler legal issue and had to go back for reshoots. The production has been chaotic behind the scenes, even if the official line is that everything's fine. Lionsgate released a statement saying the film is not in total chaos, that the reshoots are happening in March, and that the inflammatory headlines about the movie being in jeopardy aren't true. But the fact that they felt the need to release that statement kind of proves there was enough concern that people were questioning whether the movie would even come out. Paris Jackson saying the film is full of lies doesn't help the situation. That's Michael Jackson's own daughter saying the movie about her father isn't truthful. That's not just some random critic or someone with an axe to grind. This is someone who knew him personally. At the end of the day, this biopic is still coming out in April 2026. People are going to see it. The trailer numbers prove there's massive interest. Jaafar Jackson looks incredible in the role. The music will be there. The dancing will be there. The spectacle will be there. But for Paris Jackson, spectacle isn't enough. She wants honesty. She wants accuracy. And she's willing to publicly call out the filmmakers and the actors for misrepresenting her involvement and for making a movie she believes is fundamentally dishonest about who her father was. Whether this affects the box office remains to be seen. Some fans might actually be more interested now that there's drama around it. Others might be turned off by Paris's criticism. But one thing's clear. This is not the unified family tribute the filmmakers probably wanted it to be. So, what do you think? Should Paris Jackson have stayed quiet and let the movie speak for itself? Or is she right to speak up about what she sees as lies being sold as truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested in more drama around Hollywood biopics and celebrity controversies, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we cover all of it here.